Hey guys, how you doing? All right, we're going to be talking about why aren't you using a tablet in class? And I know for a lot of us, the answer would be, I don't even know what a tablet is, never heard of them, that kind of idea. Or the other answer is, well, I don't have one, or I thought they were super expensive. Well, here's a tablet right here. You could basically just be writing on it. And if you want to think simplistically, it could just replace paper, just writing on things digitally. So I've been using one for about 10 years and I want to go ahead and give you some advantages. I'll just bring up my blog post I was making. They're easy to use. You already know how to write. There's really no learning curve. You just start writing on it. They enhance learning. We'll talk about that soon. They have a lot more possibilities than a piece of paper. We'll get to that. Your students will like it better. I know, at least for me, uh, they didn't have me standing in front of the board anymore, with my back turned writing, or like document camera style, they didn't have my hairy arm in there where they're just counting all my freckles kind of idea, or, blocking because, a camera comes from above. So your hand is going to obviously be blocking it or casting shadows, or at least I know with my document camera, it always had focus. So anytime I put something under there, it'd be focusing. It'd be like, why are you focusing on my hair? Or whatever else you're trying to get it in there. And it'll save you time and money. We'll get to that. They are not expensive. So I will admit, this 10 years ago was about $500, but they're not that way anymore. And things are a lot more accessible. Watch the video. You're in the video. This is the Matrix. All right. So let's go ahead and get to it. So mine was, just a Moby thing, but I started to realize once I started using it, all this really is it's just a mouse. And we've all used the mouse before trying to write on the computer, and it's obviously really clunky, really weird, not cool. And then I'm sure a lot of us have gotten jealous, like with Khan making his little videos, and you're like, how does he do that? There is no way he's using a mouse for that, because you could see how smoothly he's writing and the ease, it's not the slowness with a mouse. So that's what he's doing, is he's using a tablet. But again, you do not have to spend a lot of money. Let's just hop over to Amazon. So, no, these are not sponsored ads. I haven't really looked into brands, but my son just bought one for his art class. And look, $40, whatever. And he's using it for digital art in his class. So this could be used the same way. It could just, of course, these are just an art pad. So it would sit flat on your desk and you could write it right there. You wouldn't even need to hold it. There are some more expensive ones where they're wireless and you could walk around the classroom. So then I never have to be backwards in class. You could go to a student's desk, you could be working on it while it's projected on the board. But we're talking about at least a virtual setting right now where you could be, for look, just $40, you could be writing right here on yours. So now let's go ahead and see what we're talking about saving money, because you might say, well, now you're having me spend $40, $50, right? But I was looking into it because I've seen teachers, use these big boards, which are of course awesome, and it's a great solution, trying to show on the screen. But the boards, look like to be 50 cents, $1 a page, so that could get, into $100, $200 throughout the school year, even in just using one page a day to be writing. And I also know, we have the document camera solution, right? But then even think about that way, it could save you money, because how do you get a piece of paper to get under the document camera? Are you printing it from online? So spending money on paper and ink just to put it here. And then what do you do with the paper when you're done? Do you throw it away, or is there a way your kids get to access it later? And then you might be like, well, yeah, I take a picture of it, but now it's a picture of a piece of paper, right? And students wouldn't really be able to manipulate that. But or maybe it's at least a little fuzzy or something else. Well, they could have a nice clear picture where you think of this would be maybe a lot more clear for a student to look at later for notes, because again, the possibilities are endless. So you could be saving all your writing, all your work, you could immediately send to your students. I'm going to just show you a few things on Jamboard. You could be using anything for a virtual whiteboard, but Jamboard, let's pretend this was our notes just right here. And if you haven't seen my Jamboard video, you can check it out. It goes into more depth, but you could save it as an image, save it as a PDF, send that right to your students. So whether they're absent, they just want to have your perfect notes or what happened in class, you could immediately send that to them and they will be all set, or throw it in their Google Classroom. however it works. So again, I'm not really going to be going over the features in Jamboard, but I'm trying to show you how a pad could help you out. So try to just think about it like a traditional piece of paper, just a blank piece of paper, a lined piece of paper, or the worksheet that you want your students to work on in class. So if we're using something, uh-oh, dog might bark here. That's the one bad thing about pads. They beep and then the dog barks. All right, I think it's the doorbell. So we could get into anything we want that we'll be able to write on. So again, just using Jamboard to be writing on things. And you see this is already a Jamboard that's made, and I could just be writing. And if you notice, I don't have to look down at my hand or anything else. So that's the cool thing where you're actually looking at the screen instead of looking at your hand. So if you have the students on the side of your screen, you could be writing something on your screen and then be glancing over your students at the same time and being ready. So now let's go ahead and just look at a few things. Now we could immediately throw up graph paper. We could be drawing our lines, we could be drawing our boxes, and I'm still messy whether it's virtual or not, but we'd be able to draw boxes that are perfect and quickly have those boxes. So whether we're doing area, whatever we need to do in math, it's all set. And again, that could be just saved, sent out straight to a student, and they'd be ready for notes. We could be using maybe that worksheet you just sent to your kids in Google Classroom kind of thing. And now you didn't have to print it out. You didn't have to run to get more ink or anything else. You could just be working on your work, whatever it is, and you're like, I don't know how to do this work. So you could show it, you could be able to erase everything easily, and you could have all your work. And again, that work could immediately one click be saved and sent somewhere else. So you'd be able to do all your math, and everything's easy to write. You could see how instantly it goes and is nice and smooth. Now, that messiness, that's just because I'm a messy writer. Now we could move on. So maybe you're doing something like, well, let's do our reading, let's do our benchmark, let's look at that. So now we could be doing those same things, whether we're telling students, I'd like to see you, highlight something or underline or whatever else you're doing. There's all the different options that you'd be able to do. And then if you want to change something, just think on your traditional piece of paper, you'd have to have multiple pieces of paper because what if, you know, this time let's circle all our adjectives and you're like, uh-oh, let's change it again, now let's do it blank, whatever. You'd have to be using multiple pieces of paper, where here you could just erase and have that advantage being able to go through. And now let's step it up even more. Now we know, okay, you could print stuff out, not print stuff out, but then what do you do in a traditional classroom? Traditional when I'm talking about a virtual classroom, when you need things in color, right? Are you then printing like your whole map in color, to be able to use under your document camera? Or, even if you do print something out, it's going to be, a little bit small probably for the kids. So if you're trying to use it on your board behind you, it's not going to be big enough. So now you'd be able to use those full color pictures, whatever you find online in your teacher's editions or anything else. And again, you'd still be able to write on everything and be able to show everything, keep it all, and then send that to your students if they need that for later. So let's see if we reviewed everything. A lot of opportunity to enhance learning, a lot more possibilities. Your students will be able at least to like it in the aspect of now they can see things crystal clear. It could be full screen for them, and they won't have to worry about focus issues, anything blocking the way. As long as your screen is clear, your picture's clear, it'll be there. Could save you time and money. Again, they're not that expensive. And then maybe transitioning later, then you'll be using a pad in your classroom because you'll realize, oh, maybe I could walk around the room or do different things later when you get back in the class. All right, guys, see you later. Have a good night.